town hall and on the town's website. We'll now have the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for these people that's gathered here. Please watch over us and give us the wisdom to make a decision to be pleasing to you tonight. And furthermore, thank you for allowing us to live in this great country that we live in and this fine town that we participate and live in. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You don't have any presentations, do we?
No presentations.
Okay. No citizens. Yeah. We need the approval of minutes of January 9th, 2025.
What you have in front of you, council, that last page was changed, and that last page was given, it's up on each one of y'all's desks up there. That's the only change that's happened on there. And that was just changed based off one of the last votes that was done at the council meeting.
Motion to approve minutes as amended for January 9th, 2025.
I'll second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes January 9th, 2025. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Department reports.
Give me 1 second. Please remember to fill out your statement of economic interest. It's due February 15th. I believe there are 3 of you, last time I checked, that hadn't filled those out. If you'd like some help with that, let me know. I helped out Ms. Wofford and I went through it. It's very simple. I think it was very simple. But if y'all have any questions or concerns, if you want, you can see me after the meeting. But most of y'all have already filled it out. There's just 3 left that need to fill it out. Yes, you have not. Haynes Pro has, so the device to fix everything tonight is what I've got here in front of me. There's one other thing that they're having to work on, which is to be able to have both cameras working. As of right now, we just have the one. Handrail needs to be added down here on the end, and then listing devices, which they're working on right now. Once all that's done, it'll be completed and done. Reached out to Norfolk Southern regarding the buildings on West Main Street. At the time, I had not received a response, but they have reached back out and said that we're working through that right now. We're trying to figure out how soon we can get that done. They were concerned about National Historic Registry issues, but I think we can work through all that. I don't think there'll be any type of issue with that.
Are they going to start cleaning up any time, or do we need to do some?
What I have been planning to do is I was going to take a roll-off dumpster out there and then have our public works guys just get the stuff up that's on the ground out of there. Just go ahead and get something cleaned up. But the plan would be to have the buildings removed.
Okay.
I'll be sending out an RFP. I've been drafting that today, but I'll send out that tomorrow. I'm hoping to have the proposals back a week before the next meeting, so you'll have a chance to review that before the next council meeting. The recent bulk waste drop-off day that we had on January 25th was a big success. We had a lot of volunteers who showed up for that. We had 4 dumpsters from Spartan Waste. I reached out to Spartan Waste to get tonnage of everything that's been picked up so far. Based on the 3 pickups, including this last one in January, the town has removed 19.06 tons of garbage from the town through this program. We're looking at April 19th is the next date to host this. And the assistant town clerk and I are working on ways that we'll send this in addition to a events postcard that'll go out to all the residents in the town. So everybody will be familiar with when that date's coming up, as well as when the dates of the events are coming up. The electrical and HVAC have been completed at the Public Works. Plumbing is currently under construction, and the roof will be should be in the next couple of weeks. Talked to Representative Moss, and West Main Street will be changed to not changed, but it'll have an additional name out there, which is James Pee Wee Lambert Jr. It was approved by the House and now awaits the approval from the Senate. The Packlet Station Park stakeholders met and provided feedback for the next draft. I included it in the copy that I sent to y'all in your email. We're waiting on one more draft. It just recently came in, and once the stakeholders have a chance to review that, it'll come before council to look at before we send it back over to Norfolk Southern for funding. The sponsorship guide has been sent out to those who partner with upcoming events in Packlet. Working with the police department. So all of these signs, you've probably been driving around town and seen stop signs that are faded. You've probably seen stop signs that are falling apart, signs that are falling apart or kind of leaning over. We're partnering with Spartanburg County and SCDOT to get all those fixed. I saw Spartanburg County out today, and they were removing signs. I saw them up on Goodlet Street, and they were replacing the stop signs there, and I believe the stop signs at the intersection of Montgomery and Stone have been replaced. But there were about 30 to 60 signs throughout the entire city that either bent, faded, or kind of leaning over. That'll all be corrected through this.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Most everything I see on this is stuff that is basically you just notifying the council that is taking place throughout the month, correct?
Yes.
So we talked before about limiting how much of this has actually been read and spoken during the council meeting to like shorten the length of the council meeting. None of this at all have I received during the month. And I'm trying to figure out why we're back to where we're reading everything on the administrator's report again.
So you don't want me to read this?
Well, I mean, you could just ask that this is admitted to the minutes.
Okay.
As a document, but throughout the month, I would prefer that, like all this extra information, I mean, I would like to see this, as it happens and takes place, be notified about it. Email, text message, either one. But taking the time to read through all of this during the council meeting, I thought we were trying to limit the length of the council meeting.
Okay. I thought the council maybe want to have this stuff read on the record. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, you could ask that the document be added to the minutes, is what I'm saying. But most of this, I mean, if it happened during the month, I would like to know that instead of just waiting till the end of the month at a council meeting to understand it or even get the information. See what I'm saying?
Sure. With that, I'll skip the rest of the report then. Also included in there, the financial statements through December 31st. Any questions on that?
I mean, how does the financial status look? Good? Everything looks good to you?
Move on to, let's see.
Patrick,
Code enforcement. Yes, ma'am.
no disrespect, but I would like you to continue reading through your report and moving forward, you can just ask that it be recorded as is, but I would like to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Let's see. So we're doing an advertisement with Cross State Park. The engineering quote from Mosaic Engineering came in, reviewing that with Paul Lyles to see what needs to be done for the amphitheater. And once that's been reviewed, we'll kind of figure out if we need to move forward on this or how we want to move forward on this. We're still waiting to hear, so I'm getting kind of mixed comments from the, both from our contacts with ACOG and others about if our CDBG grant has been frozen by the federal government. I'm having some people that say yes and some that say no, but I'll get a more definitive answer for y'all and let you know. This is the report from RCI for the month of December 2024. Any questions?
The property on Dogwood Circle, have you heard back from Ms. Wright as far as her cleaning it up? I know I had seen some gentlemen walking the property.
I have not heard anything. This is Ruby Rice. Ruby.
On the top of Dogwood.
I have not, but I will reach out to her because she did promise that she was going to handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Move on to I'll let the chief come up and give his report as well as his annual report.
Good evening, Council. It's great to see everybody. Hope everybody's feeling well. I have great news. Let's go over our annual report. I always try to do this time of year. It usually takes the month of January to get our statistics and everything that we need to do this from SLED and from their reporting system. But in general, for the year of 2024, the calendar year, 2,382 calls for service. We documented 13,872 officer-initiated events. Overall, we had a 7% reduction in crime for the calendar year. I honestly thought that would be a higher number, considering some of the things I've been seeing reported from other communities around. But after going into the statistics and looking at where they're coming from, what they are, how they're generated, I'm not particularly concerned about that. Any reduction is great. I'm seeing no real identifiable crime trends that we should be concerned about. Crimes are happening, but not at a rate equal to the areas around us, and the types of crimes and frequency match up to exactly what we should expect for our population and location. So there's nothing that's really a big red waving flag to me that we should be concerned about. Crime is happening, but we have a pretty good idea where it's happening, who's doing it, and we're doing a good job of taking care of it. To that end, our officers' efforts of being vigilant, being proactive, and being visible in our community have shown tremendous results. The reason I know that is the crime statistics in a ring all the way around Packlet have gone up significantly because our officers have pushed that element out into the county, pushed that element into central Packlet. We hear lots of verbal reports of crimes happening. We see lots of things on social media about crimes happening. And I can tell you more than 90% of the time when I investigate it myself, it is something that has happened outside of the town limits. It's someone that lives within our zip code, and they just attribute it to Packlet that actually doesn't register and land on our actual crime statistics. So very proud of that. SLED has a new computer crimes reporting system that I was able to finally access in January. Everyone just rolled it out. In analyzing those statistics, it shows we've had a 77% reduction in overall crime since I took over as chief of police. Now, I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I say that to give accolades to our officers, because the officers are the ones that are out there being vigilant, present, engaging with our community, prosecuting these cases, and continuing to do that community policing that I absolutely expect them to do. But I don't think you'll find another community in our region that can say that. I don't think you can find another community in our region that can say that they had the community support and all the things that we did during Hurricane Helene's response, because most of the other municipalities were running from call to call to call, answering theft and looting and different things like that. We had none of that in Packlet. It did not exist. So I'm very proud of that from a community standpoint. I don't know if the police department had anything to do with it whatsoever. I'm just the voice of it, and I'm the person reporting it. I think that says a lot more about our community and the neighborhoods that we have, more so than anything else. There are a couple of things that are on this I wanted to talk with you about. There are a couple of things raising concerns for me at the police department. During the Helene storm, we had flooding in the 2 individual offices. My office through the second office and all the way out into the area that used to be the courtroom. We called our insurance service. They sent engineers to look at it. The engineers found that the foundation is broken and crumbling and fallen off the side of the building in that particular corner. There's a pretty significant gap in the foundation and the brickwork outside of the windows, outside of each of those offices. And what had happened is the storm had blown water onto the wall, and as it flowed down the wall with that wind pressure pushing against it, it was pushing it into those cracks. The building was basically inhabitable for a good 10 days there because it had a really strong, musty odor, even though we kept the doors open and we're using fans and stuff like that. The carpet actually has mold on it now in the area outside of my office, leading over towards where the evidence room is. We're going to have to do a RFP and have someone come out and give us estimates for repairing that damage. I'm concerned because it's in the corner of the building where our property and evidence room is. We're in good shape with the property and evidence room. We're nowhere near capacity on that, but it will be a significant undertaking to manage all of that, especially all of the firearms and the drug evidence that we have to maintain by state statute while that refurbishment happens. I'm also concerned that pouring money into this building, as old as it is, will rapidly reach a level where we have to decide whether we want to spend money to refurbish this building and bring it to today's code, or would it be cheaper just to go to another spot and build another building. I think there's going to be a reality check there very rapidly, because I think the things that the building needs not only to repair the damage we have, but to bring it to a level that we can seek accreditation at a state level would be very significant, and it would probably be just as cheap to build an entirely separate building. A project I had hoped to happen at the police department this year, since we have moved court here to Town Hall, which has been a fantastic thing, was that open space in there to separate it out with cubicle walls, so each officer could have their own space, each officer could have their own desk, their own computer. As it stands now, the entire force is essentially sharing 2 computers over in what is called the break area, over that area by the bathroom. Whenever someone gets sick, everyone gets sick, because we all share the same spaces. And it's much more professional for an officer dealing with a victim, especially of a violent crime or a serious crime, to bring them to the office, to have their own little space, that they have their tools that they need, they have their paperwork they need. So it's just a goal that I'd had. So you may see a RFP come out requesting someone to give us a bid of cubicle walls, desks, computers, phones, and all of the associated IT work that'll go to make those things operational in that section in the courtroom that used to be where the judge sits, the judge's table. I can foresee just putting a wall of cubicle, I guess you would call it 5-foot walls down through there, and then separating that out in individual desks for the officers. But we have some repair work that needs to happen at the police department. I'm honestly a little afraid of it, because I'm afraid if we bring a vendor in to evaluate it, that they'll do one of those air scans and they'll say that there's black mold or something else in there that'll kick us out of the building immediately. And I think that's a very real possibility, considering the level of mold that's grown in the carpet and the damage on the walls. Anytime it rains now, that's the way the building smells, and the floor is damp. It was so wet inside the building that I could kick the carpet and kick up water. Water would kick up on the wall. So we've got some issues we've got to take care of that we really aren't budgeted for, but it's something we're probably going to have to take care of. So those are the things I kind of have on my radar going forward that I think you guys should know about. Otherwise, very, very proud of our police officers and the work that they do, the dedication they have for our town, and it shows on paper. So any kind of questions I can answer for anyone?
Yeah, I have one. You mentioned pushing the crime out around the area, and that's good. Do we have a real good relationship with the county that we can tell them, some of it's real close to our town limits, and Central Packard's right in the middle of us. Are they aware of some of the crime and all? I mean, are they working with us
They work with us when we force them to. They don't show up on our doorstep asking us what we need, but I really wouldn't expect them to, because they expect us to be a self-serving agency. We need to have a better relationship there, specifically with our property crimes division and our narcotics division. We did some good work with our narcotics division earlier in the year. I didn't include that in the annual report because we've touched on that in previous months. But there's a better relationship that needs to be forged there. Let's just leave it at that. I would like to see it be a better relationship. I would like to see more communication. Communication is what we need. We have a pretty good idea who the major players are just outside of our city limits. We share that information, and we can't control what happens with it then, but we don't really get any information flow coming back towards us. So that's something I would like to work towards. I have a really good relationship with the Uniform Patrol Division, obviously, but I think I need to expand that in their investigations division, most specifically property crimes and narcotics. So it's a work in progress. We do work as a team. We just don't cross paths as often as I'd like.
Thanks. Another thing, I think we need to, with all this damage and things, I think we need to look into it and get something done. Say, what we can do with that building or not. If we can't do anything within our limits, we need to do something.
And working in it, there are aspects of it that will have to be modernized. For example, in my office, I'm running drop cords 6-8 feet to get to power outlets just to power the things I need. So it was designed and set up in a time when you didn't need all the electronics and things that we have now. So there's quite a bit of it. I think almost every part of the building will have to be refurbished to get it to a modern standard for what a police force needs.
Okay.
Any kind of questions I can answer for anyone?
In the event that it is escalated, when someone does come in to look at it, to see what work needs to be done, have you thought about where you would go or might have to go if y'all do have to vacate the building?
I have thought of it. I think beside the rescue station in Victor Park would be an excellent spot. Yeah, I can't speak for them. I would think that Packlet Milliken would allow us to do that. That would put us with the back of the building backed up against a nature trail where we could have a fenced-in area for our own little tow yard to put things in for evidence purposes and keep people from accessing our vehicles and things. But that's just, dreaming.
Anybody else?
Great job, Chief.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir. Right. The damage to the building, we initially filed for Helene Insurance Response, and they sent their inspectors out. The inspectors saw the damage to the building. They sent engineers out, and they came back that they're going to deny that claim because it's something that's wrong with the building that the storm didn't cause. It was already there, just the storm brought it to our attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good job.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Next one thing is consider the appointment to the Construction Board of Appeals and Adjustments.
Sent this out to council for y'all to give to people that you'd like to consider for the Construction Board of Appeals. I have not received any applications back, but I encourage you to think about people that you think would be interested in serving on this and have them fill this out and send it to town hall, and then we'll check and make sure all of their information is correct and for the council to vote on it at the next meeting.
I don't want you to think that I'm not trying. I've asked 2 people and they declined.
Oh, and I know, I've talked to some of y'all. I know that there are some people that are out there that may be interested, and some of, it may be hard to put somebody on this.
Yeah.
How do we do a vote on this? Each individual, we vote on each person, we vote on a completed board. Does there have to be a vote on each individual? Is it something
We'll
the
look
committee
back over
takes
the
care
ordinance,
of?
but I believe everyone just votes on each person as we go through. We just need a total of 5, because it's not based on districts, it's just,
And have we set a deadline on this, or just when we get 5?
I mean, yeah, as soon as we get 5, actually, probably if we had 3, then there'd be a quorum on there. They could go ahead and potentially meet. And then whatever council ends up deciding on building inspections, it'd be worthwhile that, that group ends up meeting with the person, whoever ends up being chosen, or if it goes back to the county, just so they kind of understand what's going on and what their role is.
So before we do a vote, these applications have to be reviewed by who? I assume you, and you put a
We
stamp
just want to
of
make
approval?
sure that, that their qualifications are correct on there. They actually do meet the qualifications on there. I mean, if y'all just bring them to the next meeting and say, I know these people and they have the experience necessary, that's up to council at the end of the day. But it's just a chance for myself and other staff to make sure that their experience meets the qualifications.
So you're going to do kind of a pre-approval process?
Yeah, it would just be the person X, person Z, person Y was submitted for this, and we call their references, and all of them check out, and they've got the necessary experience needed to be eligible for the board, and then at that point, council decides on who ends up being on there.
Okay.
And what happens if we don't get 5 people?
I mean, you just need, there's going to be some times, just like with any of our boards, that we don't have like all 7 Board of Zoning Appeals, we don't have all 7 of Planning Commission. We need to have at least the quorum on there, which would be 3, for them to go ahead and meet. I prefer to have 4 or 5, and that's mainly because, as we've seen with both BZA and Planning Commission, not everybody can be at the meetings. And so if there's only 3 people that are on there, then all 3 have to show up.
Gotcha.
And we need to fill this board, this Board of Adjustments Appeals Committee,
Sir?
based on if we have a subcontract company do our building inspections and such, right?
And we need this if we move forward with having our own building inspector. Otherwise, I would think that if we go back to the county, then the county has their own construction appeals board on there.
Okay. Any more questions? Moving on to unfinished business. Second reading ordinance to increase annual compensation of mayor and council. Need a motion.
I make a motion to consider the second reading on the ordinance to increase annual compensation for the mayor and council.
And I second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Abstain.
We have 3 that voted in favor, and are you as a no vote? Is that what you're?
Was the motion to accept this?
Yes.
Okay. I thought the motion was to consider.
It's for y'all to consider approving. On the agenda is to consider approving it.
What 3 voted?
I had Ms. Wofford, Ms. Palmer Green, and Ms. Sexton voted in favor, and then Mr. Wright is opposing, Mr. Bracken's abstained, and Mr. Canby and Mr. Williams are abstaining. And based on our ordinance, if you don't vote or abstain, it's considered a vote in favor.
Okay.
So it passes second reading.
Consider approving a contract for building inspection and code enforcement.
Mr. Wright, you were not here at the last meeting. If you'd like, the gentleman can come up and talk. You can ask them questions if you'd like. I had some additional questions if council would entertain or would let me present those questions to them.
Sure.
Please go ahead.
The questions that I had in this, based off of current experience, and this is for each, if they want to come up and answer it, and I'll propose all three. One is that I want to make sure that whomever council ends up hiring or not hiring, that when people are coming to open a business or build a building or do something here in our community, that we try to work with them as much as we can within the confines of law. I don't like for the town to be a place of the word no on stuff, or for proposals, that we try to work with property owners and contractors on seeing how we can, within the code, move forward with some of the progress. The second question on there is, if a building inspector goes out to a property and at that property, they identify 10 items that need to be fixed, that when they come back the second time, that they are there to inspect those 10 things and make sure that those are completed. It shouldn't be, or at least in my opinion, it shouldn't be that they come out, they fix those 10 things, and then while that inspector's there, they find 3 or 4 things that they missed at the last encounter or when they came out on site. And it looks like the town or the inspector is using it as an opportunity to charge an additional re-inspection fee to come back out. And then the third comment on there, or the third question that I have is something that we've dealt with here, is that the inspector themselves would be responsible for sending all of the work that was done throughout the year or each month to the Spartanburg County Assessor's Office. Everything has to be reported back to them to update the records there. That's required for us to send that information out. Last year we just sent one big bulk amount, but it was something that our staff had to come up with and try to find all the files that were done throughout the entire year, all the inspections that were done, all the visits that were done, all the reports, all of the drawings, everything that was done throughout the entire year, ended up putting it into a spreadsheet to try to make it organized, and then send all the backup information to the assessor's office so they could update property records for all of the properties within the town of Packard. So just making sure that whomever is chosen, if someone is chosen, that they will send that report to Spartanburg County for the proper documentation.
Do you want them to address that?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
If you want
If you want to come on up.
Okay, so let's go back over that with the first question. That was basically, and we would work with the town in regards to, so my comment to that would be that typically when we get into a situation where you have a owner of a new business or wanting to open a new business and they talk with the town or the city, they speak with zoning and planning, and the building department's not involved in that conversation. There's typically where the problem persists. So you get started with not knowing what the code says. Now, not only, understand that the code is the law. Our legislators voted, and so it becomes a law. We know the law. We also know what's required by the law outside of the code, in the sense of what contractors are responsible for, engineers and architects. So when you get us involved with the talks of whoever this person is who wants to open a business in the early stages, you don't see those speed bumps. You don't find those potholes that's going to cause a problem with what their plans are. Because first of all, I want you to understand that I run this business. I also own a gun store. I want every business to be successful. I want mine, I want theirs. It would be completely unfair for me to want, hard rush or wish hard feelings or make things hard for that person to open their business when I own one myself. So that's basically what I'm saying, is just get the building department involved in the early stages, communicate with the building department, ask the questions that you need to know up front so that they're not steered in the wrong direction.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You want one at a time?
Yeah, go through them.
Okay. All right, so the second one was, and if I remember right, it was when an inspector goes out and creates a list of things that are wrong. Let's look at a new home. So you have a residential builder that's building, he may have subs or anything. So when my guys are going out, and I need everyone to understand that you're looking at mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural issues on a house. Okay, as simple as it may sound, it's not quite that simple. A residential book is this thick. So when we go out and do inspections, we have a 6 or 7 limit on what we write up on that report. So the building gets 6 or 7 items, the plumbing will get 6 or 7 items. Usually there's never that many for plumbing, electrical, or mechanical. It's usually on your framing structures. And the 8th comment is, did not complete inspection due to multiple items. Here's the reason for that. If I give you a list of 10, there's probably 12. And for us to come back out and then complain about an issue that wasn't corrected or written down sets us both up for failure. You have a residential builder. His responsibility is to build a building per code. Our responsibility is to ensure that that code is met within that structure. When you go out, and I've been doing this 20 years, when you go out and there's a lot of things to look at, you lose perspective of all the things that are wrong. When you walk into a structure that's built correctly, everything that's wrong starts to hop out. But then when there's so many, it's too much. So then you write down on the very bottom that there was too much to list, and the contractor can come back out and find out what their issues are. Now, if they want to discuss some things, if they want to meet on site, that's not a problem. You're working with someone who wants to get the thing right. You get someone who doesn't call you, and all they do is want to complain about the list that you provided, and that person doesn't want it right. So that's the reason why we do what we do. You can't let it go. You can't see it and say, it's okay, just don't worry about it, because, again, it's the law. It wouldn't be any different than our police officer saying, well, just, if you'll throw that marijuana pack away, I'll just pretend I didn't see it and I'll get everything else. That's against the law. We can't break the law as well. The next one was...
reporting.
Reporting. Okay, reporting's easy. Through the program that we use as I work, the reporting goes out every month. We already send everything to the assessor's office. It's already set for the jurisdictions that we have in Spartanburg County already, so it's nothing to add them on there. That goes out the first of every month. The only problem that we have, and I'm just going to tell you, it's a 72-hour window to get those reports, and it times out so that no one can get access to it after that timeout frame. And so the problem is on Fridays. So when the first comes on Fridays, you got Saturday off, Sunday off, and if that person doesn't come in on Monday morning, then we have to just resend it. So all they do is let us know, and we just resend the report. Also, with the software that we have, you have access to all the things on the software. So if you want to go in and look at anything, you can go in and look at any one item that you want, or a list of items. If you want a special report, we can create the special report, and there again, first of the month it'll go out, 15th of the month, whatever time frame that we put on that report.
So you're saying council as well as staff could have the opportunity to get that report?
Absolutely. We can put one person on there with a password, and all you could use it, or every person on council, as well as you and Tony, you could have access individually.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
As far as code enforcement, would our officer still be required to issue the summons?
That's up to the town. If you want to have our inspector be able to do that, which sometimes we have to, then you can do that. Yes, he can. He's been sworn in Blacksburg in 2 weeks.
I think you were talking about at one point Williamston was doing that?
Williamston, yeah, the Williamston's still working on it.
Okay.
The county judge there just, he wants a level 4 officer to be able to do it, which is going to be very difficult.
But that's a particular town?
Yeah, that's just that particular town, yes, sir. I told you I'm better at Q&A, so y'all ask questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, do you want to read again, or you want me to remember?
The first one was the working with the town or trying to work within the code to be able to work with the person who's trying to get the permit?
Okay. Yeah, for that, from our standpoint, it's communication, right? So everything starts with communication. We naturally want everybody to, to be able to navigate the process as easily as possible. So we're going to communicate up front and make sure everybody knows what's the requirements so you don't have issues.
The second question was about going out and doing an inspection, having them fix the items that were on there, and then having to come out and do a re-inspection and finding new things.
Okay, from that...
It should have already been picked up the first time.
Right. From that standpoint, if the residential property or whatever property is complete, we do a complete inspection. We'll go through and we make sure and document the items. May take a little longer the first time, but there is a list there, and the individual who is, responsible for that will have that list. When we come back out, we do inspect off of that list. So it's not fair to anybody, if we're, missing things, right? That's on us. As Wayne said, there is a legal obligation for us to point all that out, but that's why we try to take care of it all the first go around. And then the last one was
the last thing was about reporting to the county.
Okay, so that is a monthly, priority for us. We list everything monthly and make sure that goes out. So we do have software. It's a little different than theirs, but you guys would also have access to that. We can send reports to individual, to the administrator, however you wanted it. And then again, that monthly report would be issued to the assessor's office.
Okay.
So.
Is there any other questions council has for him?
Yeah, I actually have a question for Wayne also. All of the people that would be representing the town or representing your company for the town, they're all certified, correct?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Licensed and certified.
So there wouldn't be just an hourly paid person, no certification, issuing stop work orders or anything like that. They would be certified doing all the work, correct?
Absolutely. So it is a requirement for both of us to have licensed and certified inspectors. So you wouldn't worry about that.
Yes, sir. We're all certified and licensed in the state. We're obligated to turn in non-licensed contractors. So, we're not going to do that if we weren't licensed. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Is that the same thing for code enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we have certified individuals to do code enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. As of January 1, code enforcement officers have to be licensed.
Okay.
Sorry. Is that it, everybody?
Yes, thank you. Okay. Need a motion.
You're looking for a motion as to which way to go?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we proceed with a contract with CC&I to take care of all of our needs.
That's building permit, code enforcement.
Yes.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve CC&I do the building inspections and code enforcement. Any questions?
One comment I want to make sure that council puts in there is with the contract that y'all are stating the commencement date as well as when it would end. It's as of right now with their contract, I believe it starts in 2025. It would go for 2 years. I think what we talked about the last month is they would need 3 weeks to go in place. So your contract would be March 1st, 2025, and shall continue through February 28th. I'm not sure if it's a leap year, of 2027.
I think it has to be 60 days from December 31st. whatever that is. I don't think it's March 1st, but I could be wrong. We did a 60-day extension. Not that it may not matter, 24 hours.
The contract we had was it could end once a new person was hired.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
This takes 2 votes to approve, right?
What's that?
Does this take 2?
No, this is just a contract. It's not a ordinance.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
It's not the first time.
All opposed? Okay.
So the votes in favor, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the votes against, it's 5-2.
Okay, moving on to new business. First reading of the ordinance, flood damage prevention.
This is coming from the Department of Natural Resources. This is, I believe the last one that was done was about 20 years ago, approximately. I saw Mayor Elaine Harris's name on that one. There's a couple things that have changed, but nothing big. I mean, the issue is this has to relate to when buildings are built in the floodplain. Your floodplain primarily for the town of Packlet is around the river. There's not many areas to build. Most of those areas are owned by Packlet Milliken, but this restricts how buildings are built in the floodplain itself. If a building was built in the floodplain, the building inspector would have to review DNR's requirements on there before proceeding with that project. But I doubt that you'll see anything that comes forward, as in most of the property is owned by Packlet Milliken, and that may not, there's a lot of other things that have to happen before that happens. But either way, you would have to go through these guidelines.
How's that going to affect our development of the flat, or potential development of the flats? Is that going to add a lot of complicated regulations?
You already have those in place now. This is basically just renewing that information that's already out there. The floodplain right now is currently being updated. The floodplain, as of right now, currently covers most of the flat area. They are currently, DNR is currently with their mapping reducing the size of the floodplain, and it will be primarily just along the actual river itself. It won't come out into the flat area.
Okay. Need a motion? Okay, we're going to move on, or we're going to have a motion to consider the first reading ordinance flood damage prevention.
That's a lot of stuff to try to understand or know when you don't know the first thing about it. It's a lot of information. A lot of information if you don't know anything of it.
So,
It's just for when projects are built or buildings are built within the floodplain area.
and you said the floodplain area is just along the river,
That's correct.
and Milliken owns most of that.
Correct.
We're renewing this? Did the previous ordinance expire? Why are we, how's it a renewal?
There are a couple updates that they had sent to it, but DNR is requiring us to approve this before, I believe it's July of this year.
Or what? If we don't?
Have you spoken with Milliken about this?
I have not spoken to Milliken about this.
Do you want to do that before we decide on something?
I can.
Yeah.
I think Ms. Calabria would probably like to see this.
I think it'd be wise for us to table that for this meeting and
Sure.
and bring it up again at the next meeting.
When you say DNR is requiring us,
It's mandated.
It's mandated by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, so we don't have a choice.
Yes.
So why are we voting?
You still have to vote on it.
It's just a formality. So is this something we should have had done a long time ago? And
No,
You got
we've
to
got
do
one,
it.
we've already got one.
So the contents of it aren't negotiable, in other words, right?
I don't think that you're going to be able to, I could be wrong, but I really don't think that you're going to be able to go back to DNR and say, we're not going to approve this section, this section, this section.
So we should just know that this is something that we have to do, mandated by the state agency. And I make a motion to approve the flood damage prevention ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve the ordinance
Yeah.
of flood damage first reading. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed?
I'll abstain.
Abstain. We have 6 voting in favor and 1 abstention.
Okay, consider the contract with Duke Energy and to add street lights on Highland Street.
So I reached out to the police department. They ride around and they look at various areas that are not getting enough light. They're trying to prevent crime in certain areas. So I had them put together a list of some locations. This was one of the locations. Another one is going to be Victor Park. Victor Park is a little bit more difficult because we may have to actually put some utility poles out there because there's not many to be able to attach more to. Pretty much all of the, I'm not sure, but I think most of the utility poles that are in Victor Park already have lights on them. So that'll be another section we'll end up adding. But Highland was top on their list to have lights on, and the utility poles are already there.
Where is Highland now exactly?
Highland's between Norcross and Sunny Acres Road,
Okay.
Norwood.
Where? What's that?
It's up near the elementary school.
Off West Main Street.
When you say Victor Park, do you mean the area that Milliken owns?
Yes.
So those are public streets or private property?
It's public streets, and so they want to have more light around the public area in that area, because they're driving around some of the alleys that are around through there.
Yeah.
Just want to have as much light out there, more light. Typically, you're going to see a lot less crime in that area.
In the park itself?
That, he's thinking about it in the future, but it's not.
It's not on here right now, but that'll be another one that'll be coming up. I'd like to confer with the council member in that district to kind of talk about more about where those would go and how it'd be kind of laid out first.
Okay. All right, we need a motion to consider the contract with Duke Power to add lighting on Highland Street.
I motion to approve the contract for lights on Highland Street.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. All right. Starting, have anything?
No, sir. No, sir.
I've got a couple things.
Okay. All right.
I just have a couple District 4 updates. EJ's Place is now open for dine-in. They have new hours, 2:30 to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Please support this local business. The old Satellite Depot, 471 on Highway 150 is sold. It looks like we have a new business there.
Yeah.
I think it's a roofing?
It's a roofing, maybe a private.
Yeah, yeah, that's exciting. Also, Heaven's Trail Cowboy and Biker Church has just moved to District 4 on West Main Street. I believe it's 210 West Main Street. Their services are at 11 a.m. on Sundays. Founders Day is coming up. Save the date, May 3rd. I believe that's evening, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that right? Yeah. That'll be in District 4 on West Main Street. And then also keep an eye out for upgrades to the Veterans Park. It may not be till early or mid-March, But the Lions Club is working on that. They were approved for a grant by the state, and that's finally coming to fruition. That's all I have.
Tracy, maybe? I'm good. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, a couple questions about the Public Works. I don't see much improvement in my district as far as sidewalks, alleys, trees, overgrown areas. Do you have like a schedule, like they come to work every day, 7 o'clock, everybody's doing fine with that, right?
We've had a couple of illnesses that have come up recently. We also had another individual who was going to class to get a CDL, so there was a couple times that they were off, but I'm working with them on that, and I've got a list for them to work through. But the biggest issue that we've been dealing with is just illnesses right now.
So you give them like sort of a route or like identified areas that they need to focus on?
I've got projects for them to work on in the off time, meaning not grass cutting and all that other kind of stuff, but I've got stuff for them to work on, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's been much grass cutting in the past couple months, so there probably won't be much grass cutting in the next month or two. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, as far as like backline, it looks the same as it always has. There's plenty of sidewalks and trees overgrown, nothing's changed. The other side of the bridge, the same way. I just don't see much improvement. I don't know if there's focus somewhere else or not, but I'd like to see a little focus on this side too.
Sure. No, it's for a while they were working on Christmas stuff. Now that's done, and it took a while to get some stuff down. They still have to get the tree down. But yes, that is priority on my list, is to get all that kind of stuff done. They have been doing some cleaning up of the amphitheater. If you go up there, the stadium area has all been cleaned off up there. As we start to look in that area with an engineer, but I will make sure that they focus on backline and other areas of District 1.
Do you have like a weekly schedule for them?
I've got a list of projects for them to do. I don't know how long it'll take to do a particular project, but I have a list of projects for them to take care of.
Can I get a copy of the projects?
Sure.
Moving forward, anytime they get, a list, I'd like an email with a copy of that.
Sure.
Is that all you had, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'd like to say we had a good retreat. Sorry, everybody couldn't be there, but schedules are schedules. But we did have a lot of good planning, and you'll be getting those from Naomi soon.
As soon as I get that from Naomi, I'll send it out to council, and just like last year, council will need to pass that through resolution.
Okay, that's all I have. Everything, the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor? So moved. Thank you all for coming.